But what do you remember most, and how do you remember feeling, or what can you recall
So
back in 2020?
yeah, so in Seattle, um, they shut down the schools a few weeks after like the first COVID cases were confirmed like in the area. Like in there was some like in Kirkland, I think, and some like kind of like just outside of Seattle. I had a student who in January he like came back from winter break and he was like so anxious about the coronavirus because he saw like all the news about it, like of what was happening in China and like how it was spreading around and stuff, and he was like really 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 anxious from January like until March, and also like through the whole pandemic, but especially like January to March he was very nervous about the coronavirus and he was really scared to come to school. Um and it was like this ongoing thing of him being nervous about it and us not really having that much information to tell him about the coronavirus, because of course like no one really knew that much about it. um and also, like leading up to that day too, I had another student who um at home his mom is immunocompromised, and he was really nervous also about coming to school every day, because his mom because he didn't want his mom to get sick. And so I was kind of like angry at like the district, because I was like, what the heck, like why are we even here right now when like people's lives are on the line? So I was kind of like trying to like prepare, like, oh, what would I tell my students, like if and when the school does shut down finally. And then all of a sudden, like in the middle of the day, it was at lunch. There was like an intercom announcement from like the principal saying, like, but anyway, she's like, oh, at the end of the day, like we're gonna have like 2 weeks of no school, and so like be sure to like clean out your lockers and like bring stuff home and stuff. And it's kind of like out of nowhere. It's just like suddenly this announcement. Um, and I remember I was like in the lunchroom with my students, and like the one kid who was like really, really nervous, like since January, he like really like he did not handle that news really well at all. Like he was really, really nervous. He thought that there was like COVID in the school. Like he was like really scared. Like it kind of like confirmed um all of the things that he was feeling over these past 2 months. It's like, oh yeah, this is like a very, very real threat. Like people are dying. Like it was like really, really, really tumultuous for him. And he ended up his parents picked him up early from school, which I think was like a good, really good decision. Had I known that this announcement was going to be made that day, I would have like prepped my students like, hey, just so you know, you're going to hear an announcement on the intercom, like this is what this means. It doesn't mean that there's COVID in the school necessarily. It doesn't mean like someone has like died in Seattle. It just means that the school is like taking these precautions.